Welcome to History in Flames. Empires rise and fall, the past comes alive in fire and ash. Subscribe and relive stories that shaped the world. In 1943, the Allies had a problem. They needed to invade southern Europe, and everyone knew it. Hitler knew it, his generals knew it. The only logical target was Sicily, the gateway to Italy. So British intelligence came up with a plan so insane it should never have worked. They decided to fool Hitler using a dead man. After the victory in North Africa in May 1943, the Allies needed their next move. Stalin was screaming for a second front. The obvious target, Sicily. From Sicily, you could invade Italy and knock Mussolini out of the war. But obvious to the Allies meant obvious to Germany. Hitler had 11 divisions waiting in Sicily. An invasion would be a bloodbath. In the London offices of British Naval Intelligence, a young officer named Ewan Montague and a flight lieutenant named Charles Chumley were given an impossible task: make Germany think the invasion was going somewhere else. Their solution was inspired by a memo written years earlier. A memo that asked a simple question: what if we dropped a dead body with fake documents near enemy territory? The plan was this: find a dead body, dress it as a British officer. Give it fake top-secret documents suggesting the real invasion target was Greece and Sardinia, not Sicily. Drop the body near the coast of Spain. Wait for German intelligence to find the documents, and hope Hitler believed them. Why Spain? Spain was officially neutral in WW2, but Franco's government was sympathetic to Germany. British intelligence knew that if documents washed up on Spanish shores, the Spanish military would photograph them and pass them to German intelligence. Spain was the perfect middleman. The plan was presented to Churchill. His response was characteristically brief. He wrote 2 words on the memo: proceed with it. Operation Mincemeat was born. They needed a body. Finding a suitable body was harder than it sounds. They needed a man who had died of causes consistent with drowning, so a German autopsy would not raise suspicion. They needed someone with no family who would ask questions. They needed him quickly. His name was Glyndwr Michael, a Welsh homeless man who died in January 1943 after ingesting rat poison, probably accidentally. He had no family, no one to miss him, no one to ask questions. British intelligence obtained his body with the permission of the coroner. Glyndwr Michael, a man who had nothing in life, was about to change the course of WW2 in death. Glyndwr Michael was transformed into Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. Ewan Montague spent weeks building his identity: a photograph, an ID card, a name, a rank, letters from his fictional fiancée, Pam, bills from his tailor, receipt for an engagement ring, ticket stubs, everything a real officer would carry in his pockets. Every detail had to be perfect. The love letters from Pam were written by a real woman, a secretary at MI5 named Jean Leslie, who posed as the fictional fiancée. The letters were tender, real, heartbreaking. They spoke of a future that would never happen. Ewan Montague later said writing those letters was one of the most difficult things he ever did. The centerpiece of the deception was a letter from General Archibald Nye, Vice Chief of the Imperial General Staff, to General de Zander in North Africa. The letter casually mentioned that the real invasion targets were Greece and Sardinia, and that Sicily was merely a decoy. It was written carefully enough to be convincing, but not so carefully that it seemed too perfect. The documents were placed in a briefcase. The briefcase was chained to Major Martin's wrist. Just as a real courier officer would carry classified documents, every detail mattered. If German intelligence found anything inconsistent, the entire operation would collapse and thousands of Allied soldiers would die on the beaches of Sicily. Keeping the body preserved until it could be deployed was a technical challenge. The body was packed in dry ice inside a specially modified canister. It was stored in a mortuary. Every day counted. The longer they waited, the more the body would deteriorate. The invasion of Sicily was planned for July 1943. They had weeks. In late April 1943, the canister containing Major William Martin was loaded secretly onto the submarine HMS Seraph. The crew were told they were carrying weather equipment. Only the captain knew the truth. HMS Seraph set course for the coast of Spain, and the most audacious deception operation in the history of warfare began. The 30th of April 1943, HMS Seraph surfaced in darkness off the coast of Huelva in southern Spain. The captain read a brief naval prayer. Then the canister was opened and Major William Martin Glyndwr Michael was placed in the water. The briefcase was still chained to his wrist. The tide would carry him ashore. The next morning, a Spanish fisherman named Jose Antonio Rey Maria discovered the body floating near the shore. He contacted the Spanish Navy. Within hours, the body of Major William Martin Royal Marines was in Spanish military hands, and the briefcase with its top-secret documents was on its way to Madrid. The Spanish naval officer who examined the body was a known German sympathizer. He contacted his German intelligence handler immediately. The documents were carefully removed from the briefcase, photographed, and replaced. The briefcase was resealed so carefully that British intelligence later confirmed the documents had been opened and read. Within days, the photographs of the documents were on the desk of Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, head of German military intelligence, the Abwehr. Canaris studied them carefully. The letters appeared genuine. The personal effects were convincing. Major William Martin appeared to be exactly what the documents said he was. The documents reached Hitler on the 12th of May 1943. He read them and believed them completely. He immediately ordered Panzer divisions to Greece and Sardinia. He personally sent a message to his commanders. "I now believe the documents are genuine." 11 divisions were pulled out of Sicily and redeployed to defend the wrong beaches. Back in London, Ewan Montagu and his team were monitoring German radio traffic through Ultra, the code-breaking operation at Bletchley Park. They watched in disbelief as Germany moved troops away from Sicily. Their dead man was working. Major Martin was fooling the Third Reich. On the 17th of May 1943, Montagu received the signal from his intelligence contacts. For words that told him everything he needed to know, mincemeat swallowed whole. Hitler had believed every word. The deception was complete. On the 2nd of May 1943, the Spanish authorities buried Major William Martin Glyndwr Michael in the cemetery of Nuestra Senora in Huelva. They gave him a proper military burial with full honors. A man who had died homeless and alone in London was buried as a hero in Spain. He never knew what he had done. On the night of July 9, 1943, the largest amphibious invasion in history up to that point, 160,000. Allied soldiers descended on the beaches of Sicily. They expected fierce resistance. What they found was a fraction of the defenders who should have been there. Hitler had moved his best divisions to the wrong beaches. Sicily fell in 38 days. The Allies had expected months of bitter fighting. Instead, they found Italian troops who surrendered in their thousands, and German defenders who were outnumbered and out of position. A campaign that military planners feared would cost 40,000 lives cost far fewer. The dead man had saved thousands of lives. The fall of Sicily triggered an immediate political earthquake in Italy. On July 25th, just weeks after the invasion, Mussolini was voted out of power by his own Grand Council. He was arrested the same day. Italy was about to switch sides. Operation Mincemeat had not just saved lives in Sicily, it had changed the entire course of the war in the Mediterranean. When Hitler realized he had been deceived, he was furious. But the damage was done. His troops were in Greece. His panzers were in Sardinia. Sicily had fallen. Even now, even after the invasion, he still half believed the documents were genuine. He kept troops in Greece waiting for an invasion that never came for months. Military historians have estimated that Operation Mincemeat saved between 5,000 and 15,000 Allied lives. By diverting German forces from Sicily, the operation fundamentally changed the outcome of the Sicilian campaign. One dead homeless man from Wales given a false identity and dropped in the sea had done what entire divisions could not. Operation Mincemeat was classified top secret after the war. The men who planned it were sworn to silence. Ewan Montagu could not tell his own family what he had done. For years, the story of Major William Martin remained one of the best-kept secrets of WW2. In 1953, Ewan Montagu was finally given permission to publish the story. His book, The Man Who Never Was, became an international sensation. A film followed in 1956. The world finally learned what a dead Welsh homeless man had done for the Allied cause. For decades, the real identity of Major Martin was kept secret. Even in the book, Montagu used a false name. It was not until 1996 that the British government officially confirmed the body was Glyndwr Michael. A new headstone was placed on his grave in Huelva. It reads, Glyndwr Michael served as Major William Martin RM. Here is something most people do not know. A young naval intelligence officer was involved in the early planning of Operation Mincemeat. His name was Ian Fleming. The same Ian Fleming who later created James Bond? Some historians believe elements of Mincemeat directly inspired the James Bond novels. The greatest spy fiction of the 20th century was inspired by one of its greatest real spy operations. Operation Mincemeat teaches us something extraordinary about the nature of deception. Hitler was one of the most suspicious men who ever lived. He trusted almost nobody. And yet a handful of British intelligence officers working with a dead homeless man fooled him completely. Not with force, not with weapons. With paper, with letters, with a love story that never existed. And what of Glyndwr, Michael? A man who died alone and forgotten in London, who had nothing, no family, no home, no future. In death, he was given a name, a rank, a fiancée who loved him, and a story. He was buried with military honors in a foreign country. He saved thousands of lives without ever knowing it. History gave him something life never did: a purpose. Sicily led to the invasion of Italy. The invasion of Italy knocked Mussolini out of the war and forced Germany to divert divisions from the Eastern Front, where they were desperately needed. The dominoes that fell from Operation Mincemeat reached all the way to Berlin. One body, one briefcase, one deception changed everything. Operation Mincemeat. The dead man who changed the course of W2. If this story surprised you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more complete WW2 stories. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts below.